young folk are doing all right.
The
Um,
youngins.
the youngins are doing all right. So this was disturbing and hopeful, I guess, at the same time. And it's an OnlyFans influence. For those who don't know, OnlyFans, it's a website. My understanding is that,
And if you don't know it, please don't get to know it because I don't
yeah,
know it and
pretty
I don't
much,
want to
yeah.
get to know it.
Don't get to know it, but it's a website. I believe it's like a strip club website. I guess is that what it would be considered. It's kind of like an online strip club, um, or peep show. I mean, yeah, whatever it is. So this so-called influencer, Bonnie Blue, I guess is the name, was trying to proposition a young man, and he rejected her. So uh, this is from Red State. If you're not familiar with the gaggle of OnlyFans influence, there are typically women who go above and beyond to be as promiscuous and sexually active as possible. One of those influencers is named Bonnie Blue, the real name Tia Bellingham, I guess. A woman who touts herself as a sex educator while pulling up some of the most. Huh?
I'm laughing at that. Sex
Right,
educator.
right. I
Right.
just, yeah.
Mm.
While pulling some of the most disgusting stunts to make herself as well-known figures in the OnlyFans industry. I would advise you to watch my friend Sydney Watson recent video on the subject. She covers the predatory nature of this influence and the grotesque stunts that they pull in order to climb to the top of influence ladder in the field. But warn some of the readers that some of these things they do is rather shocking. Yeah, and it is kind of shocking. I believe this is a great video by Miss Watson, but it's a lot of the things that they do is they prey on a lot of these lonely men that we have now, that are not married, and they find the escapism of this thing where you have to look at women in unkind ways, in a sense, in their privacy, and they exploit that, right? They ask them for money. They have a lot of have like people give them thousands of dollars, for like, I don't know, like, exclusive content type deals. Who knows? I mean, I'm trying to find gracious words to say. I'm trying to find words that don't end me up in confession. Not not
or
being on
YouTube jail. So basically, what
or
we have
YouTube
here
jail. That's for
is the
it's talking about
most
ladies.
vicious form of cougarism. This is not like the cute thing you see on the TV primetime dramas of, the slightly older woman or even significantly older woman, going with a younger guy. This is really horrible what happened here because this terrible woman went into a fast food restaurant called Five Guys, makes a disgustingly ribald, lewd joke at the young man about Five Guys and what she would like to do with them and asking if it's on the menu. And this poor kid who's working there, which is already a kind of exploitation, he's there at doing his job, right, lady? You're
Right?
coming
Yeah.
in here, bringing in your video cameras and doing crap, making a joke about Five Guys, asking about it being on the menu. And he says, he's confused, trying to understand what kind of burger this woman wants. As it turns out, she's saying she wants some kind of sexual interplay with him. I'm trying to say that in a nice way.
Right.
And
Well, we can watch it.
it's shocking. It's shocking to him. No, but it's before that. This goes before Fletcher. That's when we get to the actual question. She keeps asking lewd questions again with the pun of the name. Okay, so now we're ready. And then this we get to the denouement here.
Daniel Mon, yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, this is the lady who was famous not too long ago in the Interflex because she had sexual intercourse with 100 men. Uh, so that's
I don't know if we
the
need to say
person.
that.
Yeah, I'm
I
just
just wondered, I can't see it on the menu,
here.
but where do I get the Five Guys from?
Huh?
The Five Guys. I didn't know if there was like a special room where you can take me out back.
No, I don't think that's happening.
So he already understands that
Oh,
her inference, right? He's hip to it. He understands that she's just being lewd.
yeah, he
And
got it after the first time. Yeah, you're right. He got
yeah,
it. It took him a
he
minute.
got he got
He's not completely gullible.
right. He's not completely gullible. He's not unwise. It did says to be wives as wolves, gentle as doves. And I think he exemplifies this right now. And yeah, and good on him also, because we do get a lot of um some people sometimes, on our side, criticizing black young men. And here you have a black young man that's, carries himself with integrity and Christianity um in all this. So yeah, let's focus on some of these stories as well, guys. We're all, all of
Well,
us Catholics
well,
are
let's talk
a
about it after.
universal church.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Let it play out and we'll talk about it.
What about after your shift?
Um,
I mean, I'd want to give you, a good rating.
I'm a Christian man and I'm with saving myself marriage.
I'm asking for what's on the menu, that's all.
Genuinely, I feel like I'm doing it right now. I can hunt your menu if you want.
Are you on it?
No, I'm not.
Oh, that's a shame.
That's a
It's
real shame that she said that. I'm really disgusted to see that. That is so awful. Like, it's so awful. A couple of things that, I mean, you were saying, Fletcher. Go ahead. I'll take up what I think you were saying, which is that this young man, in case you didn't hear that, because the audio is not obviously ideal, this was kind of like guerrilla videotaping, even though I believe she was doing this on purpose. She likes to, this woman, get views and, likes online, leading to her financial, progress for these kinds of stunts. So she's doing it, but it's still hard to hear the audio. So she asks him, she propositions him sexually, very unabashedly. And this young man says, "Oh, I'm a Christian man. I'm waiting until marriage." And it's really lovely. And as Fletcher says, that's not something you hear every day. And you definitely don't get that in the news media about young Black men. So here's a young Black man. He's employed. He's, decent. And he is virtuous, right? He says, "I do not want to go in the back with you," although she's an attractive, blonde, good-looking lady. I don't know if lady is the right word, but we'll be generous and say lady. And this woman is the very worst of society. She has made, the marital intimacy that should take place just between a man and woman in marriage into something that's of a commercial nature, and worse, publicizing it, making money off of it, and then trying to prey upon innocent people like this young man to bring him into her madness, right? Into her disgusting, filthy ways of acting, like she wants to go on the back. That's disgusting. That's nothing holy or good or righteous or decent or civilized about that. And to proposition this young man when he's at work, he's at work. Let this man work. The fact that you have so little respect and regard for legitimate work that you would do this to someone who's working. Like, literally, I know that one of my girlfriend's moms, she called me one time at work. She had a favor to ask me, and she said that her husband lost it. He was like, do not call young people at their jobs. And I said, "Oh, I don't mind." If she says, "No, I was wrong and I got corrected," it's true. Let you guys do your jobs. Like, any distraction, you're young, you can lose your job, you can get in trouble. They may not know whose fault it is. If you have a not understanding boss, what can happen with the wrong kind of boss? They look at this and think maybe he's part of the stunt, right?
no, right. I mean, how about that you could get him fired?
You could get this poor kid fired. That could change his whole life. He might be making money for college, making money to help his parents out, maybe making money to propose to his girlfriend and do it the right way. But your dumb behind comes in here so selfish, so exploitative, and using your nasty self, being with all these guys to try to bring this nice, pure, virginal guy to go out with you in the back, which could be tempting. It could be tempting. And that's not consent. She was asked about this, and people have come against her now. And she says, well, you know, it's consenting. No, it's not. When you go against 18, first of all, she doesn't ask this kid's age. He might be 16. He
Right.
could be 15. He could be, you know, he could be under 18.
How about if she was a man?
Right. You don't know what's going on
Have
here.
this whole conversation, him being a man, and then what are people gonna say?
Right.
Imagine that.
And
Because
the
a
fact
lot of
is,
people with this whole thing, it's like, oh, it's an attractive woman. That's a win for a man. No, I mean, let's
no,
be
no,
real
no, no.
here.
That's the whole thing
This
that this
is
shows. Women
right.
can be just as predatory as men. A woman can be just as disgusting and vile and evil. God does not discriminate. Okay, he made us both having capacities to do right and also to do wrong, regardless of your race, gender, what have you. Okay, so she's a woman. So what? She's still evil. This is evil. We're going to call it what it is. I'm not saying that she can't be redeemed or saved, but what she's doing is absolutely evil. And she can say all she wants. Well, they consent is not consent when you have young people and you overwhelm them with what you're doing. It's like taking someone that you know, this she knows who's innocent, takes this kid and be like, oh, come out back with me. That's not necessarily, it may not be by force, but you can't really call that consensual. What that is predation. Okay, that's seduction. It used to be against the law to do this, and I wish it was still those days. I'm just so grateful the young man Fletcher has so much integrity and strength in his faith to say, I'm a Christian man. If he was anything else, maybe it wouldn't have worked out, and then he'd be drawn back there with this stupid woman into something he wouldn't be able maybe necessarily to handle, and be left for, emotionally, devastated, physically, we believe in, as Catholics, that's a very precious thing. Okay, your body and your body's integrity. That's not for casual go out with somebody and that's it. You know what I mean? That's something that can change him for life and make him have very strange ideas about women, make him be unable to be happy with another normal girl his age. Now that she's just using him. So it's a terrible thing.
No, it is predatory and stuff. And yeah, Sir Glenn says I get a lot of texts and emails about this nature. They do pray. They do pray a lot of men um that are kind of like, they're not married, they're not um they're going through something, and it's a pandemic for men, especially young men, but also older men, that all men, it's an attack on them. And people like this, what they're doing is they're doing evil no matter how you look at it, because what you're doing is this man could lose his job, just for a stunt, is this kind of
And yeah,
influences.
and he can lose his soul. Okay, let's be real. You can lose your
That's
soul.
the truth. Yeah.
Okay, you're trying to have him, you're doing something extremely evil. You're taking something for him he could not get back. And I'm telling you guys, loose, cheap marital intimacy with people you're not married with, introducing him to that could lead him to not getting into his best life. Right now, if he's on a trajectory of I'm working, I'm going to school, I'm saving myself for marriage, I'm going to keep my family values, I'm Christian, he's set up to have a happy life, not kids out of wedlock by different mamas he has to pay child support to because he went with this one or that one, causing harm by maybe having women, delete babies who cause a lot of emotional turmoil. He's not causing those problems to society, to himself. She could end that. She could get him tasting the good forbidden fruit. Now he's like, yeah, I got to go every weekend with different women. And now look what you did, and maybe lost his job on top of it. This is horrible. She's horrible. And you know what? I feel sorry for her. If you're listening to this, somebody pray for her. Please, somebody pray for her. Pray for the young man to keep strong, because he won't be the first time the devil will send someone at him. But pray for her. I think this was an encounter with God, because sometimes God is still reaching out to us by having this young man basically witness to her. He's basically testifying. He's saying, I'm a Christian man. She's probably never heard that before and get turned down. Probably never been turned down before. And
Yeah.
I love how this man says, you know, the young king turns her down. This is the way. You know, it is gross. And I feel that this woman feels she can't come back from this. Like you said, Fletcher, she's been with a lot of guys. Um, she has made you know, a merchant, you know, situation with this, but she gets paid for this kind of thing. It makes it public. But even she is not too far from redemption. You can change. You can ask God to help you, and it can change. You've got to make that decision. I hope she does, because what's waiting for her when she leaves this earth will not be pleasant if she does not. That's for sure. I believe that. And what she's doing right now is causing a lot of heartache to herself as well. You can imagine how empty her life is if that she has to do something like this.
I know. It's like, you know, it's like, come on, the money's not worth it. This Glenn said, men are always being chastised for hitting a barista, but this chick thinks it's okay for her.
It's
Yeah.
true.
It's true.
It's true. We should be fair about this. If a man did this, we would say it was exploitative and it's creepy. Let's call it out when women do it too. You know, one of the things that drives me crazy, Fletcher, is when you see these young female teachers in elementary schools literally having inappropriate relations with their underage male students, and people in the comments, guys mostly, saying like, hey, I would have been happy if she liked me when I was a kid. No, you wouldn't have.
Right. No, you wouldn't.
What your parents sent you to school to learn, not get emotionally involved with some wreck of an older woman who can't manage her own emotional, frailties, and get a man her own age and have a real relationship who's going to exploit a child. I don't care. They say, oh, well, it's consensual. It's not. He's 12. He might be physically consenting because his hormones are what they are, but his mind can't consent to that. He's not there. In fact, we've talked about this before, Fletcher. That's why the Supreme Court says you can't execute people younger than 21, because the studies show that your mind is not fully formed until that time. So that's why I'm saying this 40-something-year-old woman, 30-something-year-old woman, going to this kid, even if he's 18, is not fair. The same way we tell men it's not acceptable behavior. Why is it okay for women? Oh, cougar. No, it's not attractive.
What do you think? Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe.